Hello. What you're about to hear is a collection of eerie stories, tales from the edge of the known, from the place that begins, where life ends. They speak of what can't be seen, but can still be felt. Some are unsettling, others deeply sad, but all of them are personal. They're like an echo, carried from the other side. Listen closely. Sometimes truth whispers. I was once in the hospital with pneumonia, a big hospital, the second city one, in their new building. I was in the pulmonology ward, recovering slowly. Each day I had to go downstairs for heat therapy, one floor below. One day, I was coming back from the procedure, passing the elevators on my way to the stairs, when I saw a woman pacing nervously on the landing. She kept going up to the elevator doors, then backing away. That part of the building barely had any foot traffic. Most people use the elevators by the main entrance, but here there were two. One looked broken, the other clearly for staff only. I tried to walk past her like a ghost. Maybe she'd think I wasn't even there. Didn't work. She grabbed my arm, her eyes wide, panicked. Said someone was crying in the elevator shaft, a child. Begged me to open it, call staff. No psych ward in that hospital, just neurology. I assumed she was not well, maybe discharged too early. Still, I listened. I told her, there's no children's unit in the building. No kids are ever brought here. How could a child end up in a staff elevator shaft? I even offered to walk her to neurology. She shook her head, pushed me gently toward the elevator. Just listen, she said. Fine. I stepped up to the doors, heavy, steel. I figured, I'll say I don't hear anything, and she'll go away. So I pressed my ear to the metal. At first, silence, a distant electrical hum, then a sob. A few seconds later, another, then breathing and whimpering. My heart sank. The sound was coming from the other side, from inside the shaft. It sounded like a child, but something was off. The sobbing was distorted, stretched, fake. Between the sobs, I heard a raspy wheeze, like something old, something huge, dragging in breath with effort. That's when the fear hit me. I spun on her, yelling, "There's nothing there, go away." She just looked at me and asked quietly, "It's not a child, is it?" I said nothing. She crossed herself and ran down the stairs. I was alone. And then, from behind the shut elevator doors, came a giggle, and I swear to God, something scratched at the inside of the door. It happened during the war. In the village, only women remained. All the men were at the front. One morning, my grandmother was out early, tending the garden. The sun had barely risen, and suddenly, a woman approached her, cold, sharp eyes, angry. She said, "Up before dawn, are you? Already pulling weeds?" Then walked away. My grandmother was puzzled, but brushed it off. A little while later, the same woman came back. She looked right at her and said, "I haven't even left my house yet, and you've already weeded half the field." And then my grandmother's legs gave out right there, in the dirt. She couldn't stand. Word somehow got to her sister, who lived in a nearby village. She remembered. There was a healer woman, a folk witch. They loaded my grandmother onto a cart and took her there, along with my mother, a nursing baby at the time. As they arrived, the old healer walked out of the house and said, "You made it, my dear. Was the journey hard?" My grandmother blinked. How? Do you know? The woman smiled. I knew. I've been waiting for you. She healed my grandmother, brought her strength back, and over time, started teaching her things, passed her knowledge on. Something about my grandmother. The woman saw something in her. From that day on, my grandmother became a healer herself. She helped others against curses, against the evil eye. Before she left, the old woman gave her a handkerchief, whispered her secrets into it, and said, "Take this to the crossroads, burn it there, but listen carefully. On your way back, if anyone calls your name, if anyone begs you to turn around, don't, not for anything." So my grandmother went, and sure enough, voices followed her, calling her name, whispering, pleading, then shouting. And near the end, it wasn't even a voice anymore. It roared, hissed, screeched, like an animal, like something wild. But she never turned around. She reached the crossroads, burned the handkerchief, then turned around. There was no one there. It happened a long time ago. My mother had a best friend. When my brother passed away, he was only 17. She didn't come to the funeral. She called my mom later, sobbing, begging for forgiveness. "I'm so sorry. I tried to come, but I couldn't even walk into your house. I don't know what's happening to me. I kept getting close to your door, but I'd get overwhelmed with fear and run away." About 3 months passed since the funeral. One night, my mum had a dream. A cemetery, but there was a wedding. It was my brother, marrying a girl he once dated, long before he died. In the dream, my mum's best friend sat beside the bride, adjusting her veil. She was wearing a beautiful blue suit. That same day, her friend called and said, "I took the day off work. I'm coming over." She came, pale as a ghost, told my mum she felt awful. Her blood pressure was low. Her heart wouldn't stop racing. She cried, apologized again for not coming sooner, brought a bottle of wine to honor my brother's memory. They sat together, talked for hours. She was about to leave and catch her usual bus, but then stopped. "No, I'll stay a little longer. Who knows when we'll see each other again." She left late, and as soon as she did, the house went cold. It was summer, but my mum grabbed a wool vest. She said something felt wrong. She couldn't sit still. Then my dad came home. He was late because of a terrible accident on the road. Mum's friend was gone, killed instantly. It happened barely an hour after she left our house. Later, we learned she'd spent the entire day saying goodbye. She visited every one of her friends, even stopped by her parents' house. That morning, she had hugged her daughters, 10 and 7 years old, crying. She said, "Don't leave each other. Always stay close." Somehow, she knew. Or maybe someone warned her at her funeral. She was buried in that same blue suit from my mother's dream. And then something eerie happened. Another funeral procession arrived at the same time. It was my brother's ex-girlfriend. She had drowned in a river. She was being buried in a wedding dress. My mom fainted when she saw them both, side by side. Later, she said, "No wonder my friend couldn't enter our home. She must have felt it, that her time was short, and the dream was a warning." This story was told to me by my late aunt. I'll tell it just the way she did, word for word, as I remember. One night, in the middle of the night, Her child stirred in sleep and whispered, "Water." Without turning on the light, she got up, went to the kitchen, poured some water, gave it to the child. As she turned to put the cup down, her eyes landed on the window. It was winter, a stunning winter night, glowing with moonlight, snowbanks shimmering, sparkling like crystal. And then she saw it. Something flickered outside, a shadow. She leaned in to see better, but there was nothing. Must have imagined it, she thought. The next night, she stayed up late working. After midnight, she passed by the window again, a flicker in the same direction, toward the neighbor's house. Still, nothing concrete. The third night, she waited, watched the window, and then it appeared. A shadow. She could finally see it clearly. A thick column of black fog, about 5 feet tall, 2.5 feet wide. It moved, smoothly, silently, like a predator, sliding just above the ground, again, heading toward the neighbors. She stared, breath held. And then something terrifying happened. The shadow returned, but this time, inside the black column, was the outline of a child. She screamed. The shadow, as if it heard her, paused at her window. It hovered there for a moment, as if it was looking straight in, and then vanished. She didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she walked through the snow to check for any signs. The snow beneath her window was untouched, pristine, except by the fence. A few strange dark spots, like ashes or soot. She told no one. Who would believe her? Later that day, there was a crowd outside the neighbor's house. Their newborn had passed away. My aunt was stunned. The vision from the night before played over and over in her mind. Time passed. Winter melted into spring, spring into summer. Her son went to visit his grandmother in the village, spent 2 weeks there. One night, my aunt woke up, startled, an unshakable sense of dread. She walked to the window and saw it, the shadow, standing outside. But this time, inside it, was the silhouette of her own mother, his grandmother. At sunrise, she was already on the train, rushing to the village. She arrived by noon, but it was too late. That night, her mother's heart had stopped. Years passed. Her son grew up, started his own family. The shadow faded from memory. She convinced herself it was all just a dream, until yesterday. The shadow came back, and this time, in its dark center, she saw herself. Now, she wasn't afraid. It had come for her. 2 days later, my aunt passed away. That is her story. Thank you for listening, all the way to the end. Maybe these stories were just imagination, or maybe something more. We can't always explain what surrounds us, but sometimes, in the silence of the night, you can feel it. Something is watching. Take care of yourself, and don't be afraid of the dark, as long as it's only listening.